sure they stay closed during our tour. If a door comes open, if a person falls overboard, or there's a medical emergency,
right here.
you can get my attention using the yellow safety strip on the ceiling or the open window here in the car behind me. But again, just in the case of an emergency. And we don't want to cause emergencies for the animals. So if you plan to eat on board, please hold on to or pack away plastic or wrappers so they don't blow off of our tram and become a choking hazard to animals like the cheetah on our right. Looks like some of you may not yet have spotted that cheetah. Look for the shrubs with the orange flowers. Look to the right edge of the shade underneath them and you'll see her resting. What do you think a cheetah's primary strategy for survival is? They're known for running really fast. And they have a very flexible spine, large lung capacity, and a heavy rudder-like tail. But that strategy has kind of a challenge that comes along with it, because while they're running, their body temperatures increase from 98 to 105 degrees. So after about a 1-minute sprint, they've got to stop and cool down for up to an hour. They'll typically rest through most of the day, like most cats, but cheetahs are known to be most active hunting during the day.
Look at the giraffe.
Wow, look at that. There's some Rothschild's giraffe on our left. And the truck with the canopy, that's a
look at that giraffe, David.
Now the folks on board that truck have some acacia leaves, some of the giraffe's favorite snacks. You can find out how to get on one of those trucks by checking with guest relations. There's a 4-acre lagoon on our right, and we'll encounter the largest of the flamingo family, the greater flamingos. They're also the lightest of the flamingos, but when we talk about any type of flamingo, what usually comes to mind? Right, their color, that pink hue of their feathers. Now their color is related to their diet. These guys are filter feeders. They have a brush-like tongue, and they can filter out things from the water's surface, like algae, microorganisms, small crustaceans, even cyanobacteria. Their diets are relatively high in alpha and beta carotenoids, otherwise known as beta-carotene. Sound familiar? What makes a carrot orange? And that's what gives the flamingos their color. The healthy eaters have the brightest color for their species, and they're able to attract mates. Now the ones that aren't eating so well or maybe feeling sick to their tummies, their color's gonna fade. So for them to successfully attract a mate and reproduce, they'll be great eaters. And they show that in the color of their feathers. Now we've got a pretty large flock. There's about 150 of them, and hopefully they'll reproduce. That's where we come in. We help lots of different species with breeding programs. In fact, we currently average around 400 different baby animals born here every year. Hopefully we'll encounter lots of babies on our tour. You might have spotted a baby gorilla up in the village, or one of 4 baby African elephants. I don't see anybody home over to our right. We'll save a little time to stop by there on our way back. We're headed out into the large open field exhibits. Many of them 50 to 100 acres in size.
Where are the gorillas, Dad?
Oh, we haven't got to them yet.
Wow, look for the lagoon out to the left. You see that large white bird? That's a pelican. Now, what characteristic do we usually think of when we talk pelican? Usually that beak, that flexible pouch on the lower part of their beak. Now that's got kind of a funny term, a funny name for it, so feel free to repeat it after me. It's called a gular pouch. Gular pouch.
Gular pouch.
Very flexible, and can expand to hold up to 3 gallons of water. But these guys usually use their gular pouches to scoop up fish and swallow them whole. In this case, it looks like the Erleberts got the fish already. Now that their bellies are full, they're spending some time taking care of their primary unique adaptation. Now think about this. What characteristic do only birds have? Okay, not a beak. Octopus have beaks. Some types of fish have beaks. Some insects have beaks. Now feathers. Only birds have feathers. And they use them for many things. Of course, birds use their feathers for flight. But they also use them to protect their skin and their bodies against the elements. sun, wind, rain, or temperatures. Birds can pluck their own feathers to line their neck. White bellies, dainty long legs, these are Somering's gazelle. And to the left, have you spotted the majestic sable antelope? They're just across the sand flat and in the shade of the trees. Look at those beautiful horns. Wow, I've spotted a couple of large shrubs out under the trees. Ostrich hens look a bit like a shrub or a tumbleweed, and perhaps by looking like a plant, they'll avoid attracting the attention of a predator. Of course, if they do, they've got a few strategies. Now they have feathers like other birds, but because of their size, they don't fly. But they can fluff their feathers up to look even bigger. They can weigh up to 350 pounds.
They taste delicious.
If that doesn't work, they can kick a predator, or they can run at a speed of up to 40 miles per hour. Beautiful view of the grasslands here. Grass is one of the most successful forms of plant life on Earth. Covers a quarter of the world's landmass and feeds over 50% of the animals. A grass-eating animal is known as a grazer, and many grazers actually follow the growth of grass across the continent. You might see some familiar faces under the trees to the left. Gray animals, black manes and tails. These are wildebeest or bearded gnu. Now they have a cool strategy. They rely on safety in numbers. This is a small herd, but in Africa they live in herds of 10 to 100,000 individuals. That's a pretty cool strategy, especially if you're the wildebeest in the middle. But there are challenges that come along with that, especially at dinner time. That's a lot of mouths to
Those are
feed.
wildebeest.
So these guys are specialists at moving. They migrate. And wildebeest are known for undertaking the largest biomass migration on Earth. Up to 2 million of them move from the Serengeti to the Masai Mara in search of greener pastures. Of course, they have several challenges along the way. Can you think of a few? Swollen riverbeds, crocodiles, lions. How about fences, highways, and traffic? Now up ahead, I'm pretty sure the giraffe spotted us long before we spotted them. They're often referred to as the watchtowers of the savannah because a giraffe can see for up to 2 miles. They're a pretty good neighbor to have if you're small. Their height is quite helpful. In fact, it helps them avoid competition with all those grass-eating animals. Giraffe are the tree trimmers of Africa. They're the browsers. They can reach up into the trees and strip off leaves. They can be over 18 feet tall and have about 1 inch of tongue for every foot of height. Now, what challenges do you think come along with being tall? You have a hard time reaching down for stuff or sitting down and getting back up. So giraffe will only sit or rest a total of about 20 minutes a day, usually in 5-minute increments. And they only reach down to drink once every 2 to 3 days in the wild. Up the hill, we've spotted some new animals to our facility.